When a billionaire dad's daughter was too scared to dance, a waitress's simple hug sparked a chain of kindness that changed their lives forever. The billionaire dad was not someone who often took his family out for a quiet dinner. His life was filled with meetings, flights, big deals, and endless responsibilities. But on this particular evening, he wanted something different. Something simple and warm. His daughter had been going through a tough time lately. She was usually a cheerful child, full of energy and laughter, but recently she had become quiet and hesitant. The dad, despite his busy schedule, noticed the change in her. He wanted to do something to make her feel better, to give her a night away from all the noise and pressure that surrounded their lives. He chose a small, cozy restaurant in their neighborhood, a place that was far from the fancy hotels and expensive clubs he often visited for business dinners. This restaurant was warm and welcoming, filled with the soft glow of lights and the gentle hum of conversations. It wasn't about status or wealth here. It was about being together. The dad's wife, knowing her husband's heart, smiled softly as she helped their daughter get ready. She understood how hard it was for their little girl to open up, especially around people she didn't know. When they arrived at the restaurant, the daughter's nervousness was clear. She held tightly to her mother's hand, her eyes wide and unsure as she looked around. The other children were already laughing and dancing, their joy filling the room with energy. But she stayed quiet, her body tense, her feet rooted to the spot. The dad watched her carefully from a distance. He wanted to comfort her, to tell her everything would be okay. But he also knew that sometimes the best way to help was to watch patiently and wait. The daughter's shyness wasn't just about being new to the restaurant or the people. It was deeper. She was afraid of being judged, afraid of failing, afraid of stepping into a world that felt too big for her. The dad remembered when he was a child, feeling that same fear of not fitting in, of being too different. But he had learned to hide those feelings behind a strong face and a confident smile. For his daughter, though, it was different. She wore her fear openly, like a shadow she couldn't shake off. As the family settled at their table, the dad tried to create a calm atmosphere. He talked gently to his daughter, telling her stories about his own childhood and the funny things that happened to him. He wanted to show her that everyone had moments of fear and uncertainty, and that was perfectly normal. The daughter listened, her eyes slowly softening. But still, the idea of dancing with other children seemed impossible to her, the waitress. At the restaurant moved gracefully around the tables. She noticed the little girl sitting quietly, watching the other kids, but not joining them. The waitress had worked in many places and had seen all kinds of people, some loud, some shy, some happy, some sad.
Ow.
But she had a special way of understanding people without them saying a word. When she saw the girl's nervousness, she felt a gentle urge to help, not because she was asked to, but because she cared. The dad kept glancing toward the dance floor. The music was soft but lively, encouraging smiles and movement. He knew that if his daughter could just take a few steps out there, it might change something inside her. But he also didn't want to push too hard. He understood the delicate balance. Between encouragement and pressure, the daughter's small hands gripped her mother's fingers tightly, and the dad's heart ached, seeing her struggle. Around them, the restaurant was alive with warmth. Other families chatted and laughed. The aroma of fresh food filled the air, and the light flickered gently from the candles on the tables. It was a place where people came to share moments, to forget their worries for a little while. The dad realized that this was exactly what they needed, a simple moment of peace and togetherness. His thoughts drifted to the future he wanted. His daughter to grow up strong and confident, to believe in herself no matter what. But he also wanted her to know that it was okay to be afraid sometimes. He wanted her to have the courage to face those fears, step by step. Watching her now, he hoped that this night could be a small beginning. The daughter looked up at her father briefly and gave a tiny smile. It was a small sign, but it was enough to give him hope. He reached out his hand toward her, not to pull her onto the dance floor, but to let her know he was there. His presence was a quiet promise that she was safe and loved. At that moment, Something shifted in the restaurant, a feeling of something gentle and hopeful hanging in the air. Waitress, who had been watching quietly, decided to do something that would change everything. But the dad didn't know that yet. He just continued to watch, waiting patiently, holding his breath as he saw his daughter face a small but important challenge. The evening was far from over, and the night was just beginning to reveal its surprises. The billionaire dad, despite all his power and money, was learning that sometimes the most important things in life were the smallest and simplest: a kind smile, a gentle hug, and the courage to try. The restaurant buzzed softly with the sound of quiet conversations, clinking glasses, and the gentle music that floated through the air. At a small table near the corner sat the billionaire dad and his family. The father's eyes often drifted toward his daughter, who remained seated, her small hands folded nervously in her lap. The daughter's timid gaze flickered between the other children dancing in the safety of her mother's side. She felt invisible, yet very aware of the world. Around her, among the restaurant staff, was a waitress named Maria. She was a woman who carried herself with warmth and kindness. Maria had grown up in a small town and had faced many hardships in her life. She understood what it meant to feel small in a big world. Working as a waitress was not just a job for her, it was a chance to connect with people, to be a small light. In someone else's day, she noticed the young girl sitting alone, clearly frightened to join the others. Something inside Maria stirred. She felt a deep urge to do something that might help, something that could bring a little comfort and courage to this scared little girl. Maria had seen many children like this before, children who were shy or scared or just unsure how to take the first step. She knew that sometimes all it took was a little kindness from a stranger to change a child's entire outlook on a moment. So, she decided to approach carefully, not wanting to startle or overwhelm the girl, but to gently offer a presence of comfort. With a soft smile, Maria approached the family's table, her steps quiet and steady. The dad watched her from across the room, curious but cautious. He knew strangers often had different reactions when they found out who his family was, but Maria's face showed nothing but genuine warmth. She knelt down beside the girl's chair and looked gently into her eyes. "Would you like a hug?" Maria asked softly, her voice full of kindness. It wasn't a question meant to pressure, but an offer, a simple invitation to feel safe for a moment. The girl hesitated. Her eyes searched Maria's face, and slowly, after a long pause, she nodded. It was as if, in that moment, the walls she had built around herself began to crack. Maria opened her arms wide and gently hugged the little girl. The warmth of the embrace wrapped around her like a soft blanket, something safe and loving that the girl hadn't felt for a long time. The billionaire dad's heart tightened as he watched this exchange. He had never expected a waitress, someone he would probably never see again, to touch his daughter's heart in such a simple yet powerful way. The daughter's small frame relaxed just a little, her shoulders lowering as she leaned into the comfort of the hug. For a moment, the busy noise of the restaurant faded, and all that remained was a quiet connection between two souls. Maria stayed there for a while, holding the girl, letting her know she was not alone. The little girl's lips curved into a shy smile, the first real sign of joy that evening. The dad wiped away a small tear he didn't realize had fallen. It was a moment of pure humanity, far beyond money, power, or status. It was about kindness, the kind that heals invisible wounds. The mother smiled warmly, grateful to Maria for seeing her daughter's pain and reaching out. The waitress gently patted the girl's back and said softly, "You don't have to be scared. You're safe here." Her words were simple, but full of meaning. They spoke of trust and acceptance, things that the girl so desperately needed. Encouraged by Maria's kindness, the girl slowly stood up, still holding tightly onto her mother's hand. Maria didn't rush her or push her to do anything she wasn't ready for. Instead, she stayed close by, a quiet protector who gave the girl the courage to take one small step toward the dance floor. The other children continued to move and laugh, their joy contagious. The girl's feet shuffled forward, uncertain but brave. The billionaire dad watched, amazed by the change he was witnessing. He felt a wave of gratitude toward Maria and a deep pride in his daughter's quiet courage. The daughter glanced at him briefly, her eyes shining with a mixture of fear and hope. Maria began to sway gently, encouraging the girl with soft movements that didn't require words. The girl copied her slowly, her steps unsure at first, but growing steadier. The dance floor was not just a space for music and movement. It was becoming a place where fear could be faced and courage could grow. Around them, the other diners noticed the small miracle unfolding. People stopped their conversations and looked toward the corner where the shy girl was beginning to dance, supported by a kind waitress and watched over by a loving father. The atmosphere was filled with a warm sense of connection and shared humanity. The billionaire dad realized that this moment was about so much more than dancing. It was about trust in strangers, trust in loved ones, and most importantly, trust in oneself. He felt his heart open wider than it had in years. He understood that sometimes the greatest gift a parent could give was not protection from the world, but the courage to face it. As the music played softly, Maria continued to dance alongside the girl, her movements gentle and reassuring. The little girl's steps became lighter, her smile broader. She laughed softly, a sound so beautiful and pure that it seemed to fill the entire restaurant with light. The dad leaned back in his chair, feeling a sense of peace he had rarely known. He thought about the many things money could buy, but also about the things that could never replace the simple kindness of a stranger. The healing power of a hug, the courage to try. Maria's actions that evening were small but profound. She didn't know the family's story or the struggles they faced, but her heart led her to do what she could. And in doing so, she changed not only the little girl's night, but also the dad's perspective on life and love. The girl continued to dance, her fears melting away with each step. The dad reached for his daughter's hand again, squeezing it gently. They shared a look, one full of silent understanding and hope. In that quiet corner of the restaurant, something incredible was happening. It was a reminder that no matter who we are or where we come from, we all need kindness, courage, and a little help sometimes. Maria had given that to the girl, and in return, she had given the billionaire dad a moment he would never forget. The restaurant's soft lights flickered gently, casting a warm glow across the room filled with families and friends enjoying their evening. The music was still playing, its rhythm light and inviting, encouraging movement and smiles. In one corner, a small, shy girl stood on the edge of the dance floor, holding her mother's hand tightly, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. Maria. The waitress stayed close to the girl. She didn't rush or push. Instead, she became a steady, quiet presence. Her gentle encouragement was like a soft breeze, helping the girl to breathe easier and feel safer. Just one step, Maria whispered with a smile, her eyes shining with kindness. You can do it. The girl hesitated, her small feet shifting nervously on the floor. But Maria's calm and caring presence gave her the strength to try. Slowly, she took a tiny step forward, her eyes wide but filled with a flicker of courage. The father watched from a distance, feeling a rush of emotion swell inside him. This was a moment he had hoped for, but never expected to see so soon. The girl's first step was wobbly, uncertain, but it was a start. Maria gently mirrored the movement, showing her it was okay to be imperfect, that every step was progress. The other children around them danced freely, their laughter and joy surrounding the little girl like a warm blanket. She was no longer invisible. She was part of the moment. Encouraged, the girl took another step, then another. Her confidence began to grow, like a tiny flame catching the wind. The waitress stayed beside her, her presence steady and reassuring. The father's eyes filled with tears as he saw his daughter begin to shine in a way he had never seen before. It was not just dancing, it was courage and trust blossoming right there on the floor. Maria's kindness had unlocked something special. The girl began to relax, her movements becoming smoother, more natural. She even smiled shyly at a few of the other children, who welcomed her with open arms. The dance floor, which had seemed so intimidating just moments before, was now a place of joy and belonging. The father took a deep breath, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. He realized that this simple act of kindness from a stranger had given his daughter the gift of bravery. It was a reminder to him that sometimes the smallest gestures could have the biggest impact. As the music continued, Maria gently guided the girl through the dance, showing her that it was okay to make mistakes and that the most important thing was to enjoy the moment. The girl laughed softly, a sound so pure and beautiful that it touched the hearts of everyone nearby. Other diners stopped their conversations to watch this beautiful scene unfold. They saw a shy little girl taking her first steps toward confidence. Parise a better and the better a wender. Turret, the render. I'm a diver, pro to rewang cementer. I get at her and I'm rent. The atmosphere in the restaurant shifted, filled with a warm sense of connection and hope. The father, moved beyond words, approached the dance floor quietly. He knelt down beside his daughter, wrapping his arms around her in a gentle embrace. "I'm so proud of you," he whispered. "You're doing amazing." The girl looked up at him, her eyes sparkling with happiness and newfound courage. Maria smiled softly, stepping back to give them space. She knew her role was not to stay forever, but to be a gentle guide in this important moment. The father took her hand and gave it a grateful squeeze. Silently thanking her for the kindness she had shown, the girl's fear was not completely gone. But it was smaller now, pushed back by the warmth of love and encouragement. The dance floor had become a place where she could be herself, free from worry and doubt. It was a victory not just for her, but for everyone who believed in the power of kindness. As the evening went on, the girl danced more confidently, her smile growing wider. With each step, the father watched with a full heart, knowing that this night would be remembered forever. A night when a stranger's hug and gentle words had opened a door to something incredible. The waitress, the billionaire dad, and his daughter all shared a quiet understanding. Sometimes it is the simple things, a hug, a kind word, a patient hand that change lives the most. And in this small restaurant, under the soft glow of lights and music, a beautiful story of courage and kindness was unfolding one step at a time. As the evening progressed, and the soft music continued to play, the billionaire dad found himself drawn not just to his daughter's brave steps on the dance floor, but also to the woman who had made it all possible, the waitress named Maria. She had done something extraordinary that night, something that no amount of money or power could buy. She had touched the heart of a scared little girl and helped her find courage. The dad had spent most of his life surrounded by luxury and influence, making decisions that affected thousands of people. But in this simple restaurant, watching Maria's kindness unfold, he realized that the things he valued most were not things at all. They were moments like this. Moments filled with genuine human connection. He quietly made his way toward Maria, his heart full of gratitude and curiosity. Maria was wiping down a nearby table, her face glowing with satisfaction from the difference she had made. When she noticed the dad approaching, she straightened up, unsure of what to expect. Many people in his position often acted differently when they learned of the waitress's role in their family's life. But the billionaire dad's approach was gentle and sincere. "Thank you," he said softly. "Thank you for what you did for my daughter tonight. You have no idea how much it means to us." His voice was warm, but there was a vulnerability in it that Maria hadn't expected. It was the voice of a man who truly understood the value of kindness. Maria smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. "I just wanted her to feel safe," she replied simply. "No one should ever feel scared to be themselves, especially children." The dad nodded. "That's exactly it. I've spent so much time focused on everything else's work, success, Money that sometimes I forget the simple things. But you reminded me tonight what really matters. Curious, the dad gently asked Maria about her own life. She hesitated. At first, then shared bits of her story, how she had grown up in a small town, faced challenges, and learned to keep going despite hardships. She told him about her dreams and the little joys she found in her everyday work. Listening to her story, the billionaire dad was struck by her strength and resilience. Here was a woman who, without fame or fortune, carried a light that brightened the lives of others. Her courage to be kind in a world that often overlooked kindness made a deep impression on him. Their conversation lasted longer than either expected. They spoke about fear, hope, and the importance of community. The dad admitted that his world of wealth often felt lonely, and that seeing Maria's warmth had opened his eyes in a new way. As the night deepened, the dad made a quiet promise to himself. He wanted to do more than just thank Maria with words. He wanted to take action, to use his resources to help others who, like his daughter, struggled with fear and self-doubt. He knew that money alone couldn't solve every problem, but it could be used to create opportunities, build support networks, and give children the confidence to shine. He talked to Maria about starting programs that focused on mental health, confidence building, and community support for families. Maria's eyes lit up at the idea. She had always dreamed of helping children in ways beyond her work at the restaurant. Now, with the support of someone with influence and resources, those dreams felt closer to reality. The billionaire dad realized that this chance meeting had changed both their lives. Maria had given his daughter courage, and in return, he wanted to give back to the community that had nurtured that. Courage that the dad left the restaurant that night with a new sense of purpose. He was determined to build bridges between worlds, between wealth and everyday kindness, between power and humility. Watching his daughter dance with a smile she had never shown before reminded him that real success was measured not by money, but by love and compassion. For Maria, the evening was a beautiful reminder that small actions matter. Her hug, her gentle encouragement, had not only helped a scared child, but it also inspired a man with great power to see the world through new eyes. As the daughter danced happily, unaware of the plans being made, the billionaire dad and Maria shared a look filled with understanding and hope. They knew that together, they could make a difference far beyond this one night. The story was far from over. It was just the beginning of a journey fueled by kindness, courage, and the incredible power of human connection. The night was drawing to a close, and the restaurant's soft lights began to dim, signaling the end of a beautiful evening. The music slowed, and the joyful chatter faded into gentle murmurs. But inside the hearts of those who had witnessed the small miracle that night, something new had taken root, a seed of hope, courage, and lasting change. The little girl, once too scared to dance, was now glowing with confidence. Her steps on the dance floor had become a symbol of triumph over fear. She had discovered a bravery she didn't know she had, thanks to the simple but powerful kindness of a stranger. That moment was more than just a dance. It was the beginning of a new chapter in her life. One filled with promise. The billionaire dad sat quietly at the table, watching his daughter laugh and move freely. His heart was full, not just with pride, but with a profound understanding of what mattered most in life. He'd spent years chasing success and wealth, but tonight he learned a lesson far more valuable. True wealth came from love, connection, and the courage to reach out and help others. As the evening wound down, the dad and Maria spoke again, this time with plans for the future. They talked about ways to bring more kindness and support to children, like his daughter children, who sometimes felt invisible or scared. The dad shared ideas for creating community programs, funding schools, and providing safe spaces where children could learn and grow without fear. Maria, with her deep experience and compassion, became an essential partner in this vision. She knew what it meant to struggle and what it took to build confidence. Together, they dreamed of creating opportunities where children could discover their talents, express themselves freely, and find the courage to face life's challenges. The billionaire dad promised to use his influence to make these dreams a reality. He understood that change required more than money, it needed commitment, heart, and the willingness to listen. He wanted to build bridges between the worlds of wealth and everyday kindness, ensuring that no child would ever feel alone or too scared to be themselves. For the little girl, life began to shift in small but meaningful ways. With the support of her family and the new programs inspired by Maria's kindness, she grew stronger each day. Her shy smiles blossomed into confident laughter, and her timid steps turned into bold strides. The dance floor was no longer a place of fear, but a place of joy and freedom. Her parents noticed the change too. They realized that their daughter's courage was not just about learning to dance, but about learning to believe in herself. They became more attentive, more patient, and more present. The billionaire dad especially felt a renewed sense of purpose. He saw that his role as a father went beyond providing wealth. It was about nurturing his daughter's spirit and helping her grow into a confident, compassionate person. Maria continued her work at the restaurant, but also became a beloved figure in the community. Her kindness that night had touched many hearts, inspiring others to be more caring and aware. She often spoke at schools and community centers, sharing her story and encouraging children to believe in their worth. The programs started by the billionaire dad, and Maria blossomed into something greater than either had imagined. They created safe spaces where children could express themselves through art, dance, and music. They provided counseling and support for families facing challenges, building a community where everyone felt valued and heard. The story of the scared little girl who learned to dance spread far beyond the restaurant's walls. It became a beacon of hope for families everywhere, a reminder that kindness and courage could change lives. People from all walks of life came together to support the cause, united by a shared belief in the power of human connection. For the billionaire dad, this journey transformed his view of the world. He learned that success was not just about wealth, but about the impact one could have on others. His relationship with his daughter deepened, built on trust, love, and shared experiences. He became an advocate for children's mental health and confidence building, using his platform to raise awareness and inspire change. Maria's life changed too. She found new purpose and joy in being part of something bigger. Her humble act of kindness that night had set off a chain reaction, proving that even the smallest gestures could lead to incredible outcomes. The daughter grew up with a heart full of gratitude and courage. She never forgot the night as strangers. Hug gave her the strength to dance. That memory stayed with her, a guiding light through challenges and triumphs alike. She carried forward the lessons of kindness, bravery, and connection, inspiring others just as she had been inspired. In the end, the story was about more than a billionaire dad, a waitress, and a scared little girl. It was about the power of empathy to break down barriers, the courage to step into the light despite fear, and the magic that happens when people come together to support one another. And so, from a small corner of a restaurant on an ordinary night, a beautiful journey began, a journey that would touch countless lives and remind the world that sometimes the most incredible things happen when we choose kindness.